Hi, this is Shannon, and I will be reading you selections from the Sandwich Enterprise, dated Friday, April 11th, 2024. Our first headline is Concerns Remain with Village Green Solar Field by Taylor Fuzzetti. The Sandwich Zoning Board of Appeals still has questions regarding the proposed solar field included in the 144-unit affordable housing project, known as Village Green, following a meeting on Tuesday. Some substantial changes have been made to plans in an effort to address the lack of recreational space and open space. The new plan shows 7 three-story residential buildings, a pool and playground, community garden, and a walking trail around the property. The applicant's engineer, Deborah W. Keller of Merrill Engineering, said that the new plans show a reduction to the western side of the solar field by approximately 15 to 20%. Sean Reardon of Tetra Tech, the town's peer engineer, said that due to the plans drastically changing, he will need to review them again and make more comments based on the new plans. It's a far more elegant layout, far more efficient layout. It's a significant change, he said. I think all of these changes are positive. I am still struggling with the sizing of the solar array. Mr. Reardon said that he has worked on multiple 5-megawatt solar projects. Typically, when we are talking about a 5-megawatt solar array, we are talking about powering about 1,000 homes, he said. We have 144 units here, and we are talking about a 5-megawatt solar array. He said that there seemed to be a disconnect between the size of the solar array and the size of the project, even with some of the solar power being used for the EV charging stations on the site. Is this solar array sized for the project only, or is it sized for export to the larger community? Mr. Reardon asked. Developer Paul Cleary said that the solar array is sized for the project only. Mr. Reardon asked Mr. Cleary to provide an estimate for the energy generation from the solar array for an entire year in comparison to the consumption of the project for an entire year. The law allows for commercial production. Mr. Reardon keeps wanting to look at whether this is for on-site or commercial production. My point is that, under the law, it doesn't matter because it is allowed use under the zoning in that area, said Jonathan Fitch, the attorney for the developers. This applicant is saying we want to use it on-site, but the applicant could just as easily and very legally say, I am doing it for export consumption. Board member Kevin M. Corain said that the Board of Appeals could say that any part of the project intended for export consumption should be referred to the Cape Cod Commission for review because it is not part of the comprehensive permit project. If you are talking about commercial use, then we could sit here and say, well, okay, fine. If it's commercial and the law allows you to do it, but we don't have to approve it as part of a comprehensive permit. We can refer it to the Cape Cod Commission for their review as a development of regional impact, Mr. Corain said. Mr. Fitch said that he disagreed. Board member James J. Killian asked if there will be any future demand for the energy from an outside source. That's up to the Department of Public Utilities and Eversource, not us. They own the control of the system. Even the microgrid is fully permitted by DPU and Eversource, Mr. Cleary said. They can tap into it to use for battery backup. That's required by the state law. He added that DPU and Eversource could take the energy off-site if needed. Mr. Killian said that when asked about this months ago, Mr. Cleary said that there will be no exporting of energy off-site. Export is a payment mechanism. When you are bringing up exporting, it is how the project is getting paid, Mr. Cleary said. Correct, but you also just stated that energy can leave the site and go to grid and is not going to be for free. We know that because nothing is free, Mr. Killian said. Mr. Corain said that he did not understand why the housing project is being condensed on 9 acres and includes less than 10,000 square feet of open space. There is plenty of land. There are 33 acres of land out there, he said, suggesting spreading the project out more. Mr. Cleary said that the purpose of the density is to comply with the Business Limited Zoning District in the Cape Cod Commission's guidelines. Chairman Christopher Neven asked why the Cape Cod Commission would be opposed to spreading the project out more. To create housing, Mr. Cleary said, 2-acre zoning, acre and a half zoning, spreading things out. That's the type of policies of zoning and planning that led to the housing crisis. So the size of the buildings add density and bring affordability. He added that this plan, along with the cheap energy on site, is key for ensuring affordability in the future. Ms. Keller said that they are trying to increase the usable open space to 8 acres. Mr. Clary said that they plan to update the plans in light of the suggestions. The hearing was continued to May 13th. Our next headline is VSB Brainstorms Bandstand Benches by Taylor Frizzetti. From repurposing materials for the proposed bandstand to revamping benches and film screenings, the Sandwich Visitor Services Board discussed a variety of ideas during the meeting held on Tuesday. Repurposing the bandstand. Chairwoman Heidi H. Trottier said that she has discussed repurposing the materials intended to be used for the bandstand located behind the Henry T. Wing School to create a new bandstand platform and storytelling area at the library. Although concrete has been poured in the original location of the bandstand, it has not been fully constructed despite the plan to finish construction before the 2024 4th of July celebrations. This won't be happening because it is a swamp, Ms. Trottier said regarding construction in the original location. The town band has been performing in the area between the sidewalk and the library parking lot. Ms. Trottier said that the plan, which is still in its infancy, is to build a platform in that location. However, Assistant Town Manager Heather B. Harper said that plans to build the bandstand in the original location are still in the works. In fact, a bid to finish the assembling of the bandstand is currently active. Ms. Harper said that the marshy area has led to the redesign of the project, which originally included concrete pilings and is now a slab. The redesign, along with the town having to prioritize projects in need of immediate attention, such as HVAC and heating issues and replacing the deck at Oak Crest Cove, caused for the delay, Ms. Harper said. However, the town will need to review the bids it receives in order to determine if the project is affordable. Ms. Trottier said that she will be speaking further with Library Director Diane M. Costagliola, the library designers, and town manager George H. Budd Dunham about the ideas. Ms. Trottier said that Ms. Costagliola had an idea to build another platform for outdoor storytelling. Both of the projects would utilize wood from the original bandstand, which she said is now in storage. Ms. Trottier said that it will likely take about a year or so for construction to be complete. She added that construction will likely be done by Upper Cape Tech students and DPW staff. Revamping the benches. During public comment, Candace Thompson spoke about an area that she had to revamp some of the benches in town. Ms. Thompson said that there are a total of 7 benches in town that could use some sprucing up, including one located on the public access easement of the Deacon Eldridge House, 2 near the Hoxie House, the 2 benches by the water fountain next to Town Hall, and the 2 benches in front of Newcomb Tavern. She said that out of the 7 benches, 3 will need to be replaced, while the others will need to be scrubbed and painted. The Department of Public Works is going to move the bicentennial boulder at the same time they are doing to put up the split rail fences to delineate the public access way at the Deacon Eldridge House, Ms. Thompson said. Ms. Thompson suggested putting the benches at the same time while the crew is there. She said that she spoke with Ms. Harper about the town approvals that the project would need. She said that Ms. Harper told her that the project would need approval from the Historic District Commission because the benches can be seen from the road, and what would likely be administrative approval from the Department of Natural Resources. Ms. Thompson said that depending on the style of the benches, they would cost between $700 to $1,000. She said that the style will likely match the benches at Mill Creek Park. Ms. Thompson also suggested including plaques thanking the Visitor Services Board on the benches. Ms. Trottier asked Ms. Thompson to get an estimate for the project. She also suggested having local Boy Scouts help out with the work. Film screening. The Reverend Tina Walker Marin spoke on a request for $125 in behalf of the First Church for a film screening of the documentary 1946. It goes through how in the Bible homosexuality got put into it in 1946 and it wasn't there originally, she said. The documentary follows researchers who follow the origins of Christian opposition to homosexuality to a mistranslation of the Bible in 1946. The request will be used to obtain the film license and marketing materials. The event, put on to celebrate Pride Month, will be held on June 10th at 6:30 p.m. at the First Church. Next headline is, Town gets approval for purchase of 86.5 acres for wastewater needs. By Taylor Frizzetti. The town of Sandwich had some very good news to share during the Select Board meeting on April 3rd. Select Board Chairman Charles M. Holden shared that the United States Bankruptcy Court for the District of Massachusetts has issued an order authorizing and approving the sale of 86.5 acres of undeveloped land on Discover Hill Road, and Caius Way. The town intends to use the land for wastewater infrastructure if needed. The 86.5-acre property, consisting of 3 parcels near Quaker Meeting House Road, was initially offered for sale last year when the owner, Mark W. Weissentanner, filed for bankruptcy. The land is being sold as part of the Chapter 7 bankruptcy process. The town will purchase the 3 properties for $3.3 million, which will be paid for via funds allocated by town meeting through the town's Water Infrastructure Investment Fund, WIIF. As a reminder, acquisition of real property is an expressly allowed use of the WIIF fund, and therefore an additional town meeting vote will not be needed to proceed with the transaction, Mr. Holden said. Additionally, the town will receive approximately $400,000 in back taxes owed on the property. This property acquisition represents a significant milestone for the town of Sandwich, Mr. Holden said. If needed, the town will now have sufficient land to meet 100% of total projected wastewater volume from all phases of its comprehensive water resources management plan, with significant acreage set aside for environmental purposes. The town is still pursuing tying into the wastewater system at Joint Base Cape Cod. We look forward to finalizing the sale within the next 2 weeks and will have additional information available at that time, he said. Next headline is, Library Approves Acceptable Use Policy by Amy Rothman. Earlier this year, the Sandwich Public Library Board of Trustees reviewed a draft version of an acceptable use policy for the library, which was created by Diane Castigliola, Sandwich Library Director. On Tuesday, the trustees moved to approve the policy after making the final revisions to the policy. During the Library Board of Trustees meeting on Tuesday, Ms. Castigliola presented the policy for the second time. Typically, acceptable use policies outline clear expectations and guidelines for users of public computers or networks. As libraries adapt to a technology-driven future, acceptable use policies have become commonplace for libraries to ensure safe and acceptable use of their public computers and internet. The Sandwich Public Library's acceptable use policy also sets specific behavioral expectations for all spaces within the library. The policy begins with a mission statement for the library. Sandwich Public Library is committed to providing a safe, welcoming, and inclusive environment for all library patrons, staff, and volunteers. Our goal is to foster an open and accessible space where the community can engage with learning opportunities, cultural experiences, and informational resources. Then it outlines numerous specific guidelines and expectations. Several guidelines mirror that of similar businesses. For instance, the policy notes that patrons must be wearing appropriate attire, including shoes and shirts. Patrons may not consume tobacco, marijuana, or e-cigarettes on library grounds. And patrons may not enter staff-only areas without permission. In typical library fashion, the policy also limits cell phone usage. Cell phone ringer volume should be turned off, and phone conversations should be brief and conducted in a way so as not to bother other library patrons, the policy reads. Besides the standard rules and regulations outlined in the acceptable use policy, Ms. Castigliola also opted to include guidelines which are more specific to the Sandwich Public Library. For instance, the acceptable use policy is outlined clear expectations regarding eating and drinking inside the library and even on the use of the library for certain activities, such as crafting. Craft activities must be pre-approved, the policy states. Because of the potential damage to library materials and/or property, craft activities including glue, glitter, paint, Play-Doh, etc. are not allowed. The policy states that guests are allowed to enjoy light food and drinks inside the library, but should be considerate of others in terms of sounds, smells, and allergies while enjoying a snack. Guests are also asked to use covered cups and water bottles, as per the new policy. Final edits and approval. Before voting on the policy, the board reread the policy, looking to make final edits or deliberations. Vice Chairman Robert Thompson suggested a grammatical edit be made to the policy for clarity. He suggested that the section of the policy which reads, "Photographs or videos may only be taken with respect for individuals who prefer not to be photographed," be changed to, "Photographs or videos should not be taken of individuals who prefer not to be photographed." "That's more clear," Chairwoman Jane Burke said. Then, hearing no further discussion, Mr. Thompson made a motion to approve the policy with the amended language and edits. Member Colleen Clabolt seconded the motion. Unanimously, the board voted to approve the acceptable use policy. "Thank you for getting this done," Ms. Burke said, following the vote. Ms. Costagliola confirmed that the policy will be posted both inside the library and on the website. Next article is NALOX Box installed at Upper Cape Tech by Michael J. Roche. The Born Substance Free Coalition on Wednesday, April 9th, installed its first NALOX box at Upper Cape Cod Regional Technical High School. Similar to the purpose and accessibility of an AED, an automatic external defibrillator, the NALOX box is designed to empower bystanders to act in the event of an opioid overdose. In a news release, the coalition noted that NALOX boxes serve as a critical resource for anyone who may witness an overdose. After an individual calls 911, the NALOX box provides both the Narcan and simple instructions on how to administer Narcan and support until paramedics arrive. The initiative equips citizens with the tools that they need to help save lives, the coalition said. This initiative not only enhances the safety and well-being of residents, but also fosters a collective commitment for positive solutions to substance use issues. Although collaboration with town officials and the community, the coalition hopes to ensure the widespread placement of NALOX boxes. Funding for the NALOX boxes comes from the Town of Bourne's Opioid Settlement Fund. The coalition plans to purchase 8 NALOX boxes to be placed within the town. The coalition is also organizing additional training on how to use the NALOX box supplies. The Born Substance Free Coalition also extended its appreciation to the Bourne Health Department, Bourne Select Board, Bourne Fire and Police Departments, Upper Cape Tech, and several other town departments for their partnership in supporting the NALOX Box initiative. Their collaboration has been instrumental in promoting the health and safety of our community and ensuring successful accessibility to those who need it most, the coalition said. The next article is Oak Ridge Principal hired as Mashpee Superintendent and other staffing news by Taylor Frizzetti. Oak Ridge School Principal Patricia M. Hill has been appointed as the Assistant Superintendent of the Mashpee School District. The announcement was first made during a Mashpee School Committee meeting on April 2nd, and it was later announced at a Sandwich School Committee meeting on Wednesday. After being hired as the principal in 2014, Ms. Hill was formerly the district's K-8 science coordinator. Within the district, she also taught pre-algebra, the literacy model, U.S. history, and physical science for grade 8. Prior to coming to the Sandwich Public Schools, she served as the vice principal of Barnstable Middle School. Members of the Mashpee School Committee said that they were impressed by Ms. Hill's experience and data-driven decision-making. Ms. Hill will continue to serve as principal through the end of the school year. She will begin the new role on July 1st. Ms. Hill is not the only knight becoming a falcon. Assistant Finance Human Resources Director Monica De La Hoya has been hired as the Mashpee School District's new business manager. During her time in Sandwich, Ms. De La Hoya oversaw district grants, human resources, and developing Sandwich's first budget book. We will miss Trish and Monica a great deal, and we thank them for the many years of service to the Sandwich Public Schools, but also congratulate them on taking on these new challenges in their own careers, said Superintendent Joseph P. Marusak. Both positions have been posted on job board sites as of Wednesday. Dr. Marusak said that the district will conduct a comprehensive search process involving staff, community members, and parents to find the new Oak Ridge principal. Next article is Sandwich Resident Earns General Ira C. Eaker Award by Taylor Fruzzetti. Sandwich resident Isabella Neiman, 16, has earned the Civil Air Patrol's General Ira C. Eaker Award and a Massachusetts House of Representatives citation. Fewer than 2% of all Civil Air Patrol cadets earn the Eaker Award, according to a Civil Air Patrol press release. According to the Civil Air Patrol's website, General Eaker was one of the forefathers of an independent Air Force and during World War II. He commanded the 8th Air Force, known as the Mighty 8th Force of Strategic Bombers. To stand in General Eaker's shadow is to study leadership carefully and serve others, the release says. The Eaker Award marks completion of Phase 4 of the Civil Air Patrol Cadet Program. The award recognizes excellence in 4 areas of a cadet's life: leadership, aerospace, fitness, and character. In order to qualify, cadets must graduate from an academically intensive leadership academy, which is especially appropriate considering that today the Air Force celebrates the General Eaker's legacy by naming the service's top school for commanders in his honor, the Ira C. Eaker Center for Professional Development at Air University Maxwell Air Force Base, Alabama, the release says. Colonel Nicole Ivers, Deputy Commander in 102nd Intelligence Wing, gave Isabella the award. Massachusetts State Representative Stephen Sayerhos presented Isabella with a citation from the Massachusetts House of Representatives for her achievement and exceptional leadership and character. The Coastal Patrol 18 Cape Cod Composite Squadron meets weekly on Tuesdays from 6 to 8:30 p.m. on Joint Base Cape Cod. Those from ages 12 to 19 can join the cadet program. Those interested in joining should visit MAWG.cap.locations/MA-044 for more information. The next article is Military Museum seeks photos from World War II. The Cape Cod Military Museum will host a benefit concert celebrating the 80th anniversary of VE Day on Saturday, May 10th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Coonamessett Inn in Falmouth. The event will feature the Cape Cod Moonlighters Big Band, military reenactors, swing dancers, and a special World War II menu at Eli's Tavern. It will also feature a slideshow of Cape Cod photos from the World War II era. Joe Yanka, president of the museum, asked the public's help in collecting iconic digital images from the Cape. Submissions can be emailed to Mr. Yanka at joeykna@gmail.com. Our next article is Have Coffee with Your Senator. Upper Cape Cod Regional Technical School will host a Coffee with Your Senator for community members to meet with Senator Dylan Fernandes. The event will be held on the Canalside Dining Room on Monday, April 14th from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. This informal gathering will offer a chance for community members and students to have a conversation with Senator Fernandes over coffee. To attend, contact Upper Cape Tech at info@uppercapetech.org. Next article is a legislative update from the State House by Senator Dylan Fernandes. Happy spring! As we finally welcome some warmer weather, I wanted to share an update from our first 100 days in the state Senate. 6,000 pieces of legislation were filed to start the legislative session. Our office filed 48 bills that cover environmental protection, housing for working people, data privacy, support for our tourism industry, and protections against Haltech's attempts to discharge nuclear waste in our community. In addition to the 48 bills we filed, we have co-sponsored many other pieces of legislation based on hearing directly from you and members of our community. You can see all of our bills on the www.malegislature.gov website. Residents of our district deserve access to mental health resources. We spoke out and rallied against the State Department's mental health's decision to close the only inpatient mental health center in our district, and we won. Governor Healy listened and committed to keeping the mental health facility in Pocasset open. Our district is geographically isolated with suicide rates higher than the state average. I am grateful to Governor Maura Healey for supporting mental health beds in our region and working with us to keep the Pocasset location open. We save mental health resources in our community, and now we must push to expand them. Energy costs are too high. The State Department of Public Utilities ordered a 5% reduction in energy rates for March and April in response to our letter demanding relief. Their pledge falls far short of addressing the unprecedented costs burdening us. I joined my colleagues in urging Attorney General Andrea Campbell to investigate those drastic rate increases. The governor recently proposed a path of lowering utility bills by billions of dollars over 5 years to offer long-term relief, which the legislature will take up. When deregulation of utilities occurred in the 1990s, Massachusetts adopted an investor-owned utility model. Many other states kept their utilities public, and, on average, residents of those states pay lower utility costs. Our office is working on forming a commission to study whether or not moving away from the investor-owned utilities would save money for Massachusetts residents. Committee appointments are in. I'm honored to be named Chairman of the Joint Committee on Agriculture and Fisheries, overseeing and supporting vital food security issues for our district and our Commonwealth. I'm also excited to serve as Vice Chairman of the Joint Committee on Environmental and Natural Resources and the Joint Committee on Cannabis Policy, where there is much work ahead on land preservation, climate resilience, and reforming the growing cannabis industry. Beyond those leadership roles, I've been appointed to several key committees that directly impact our district: climate, utilities, and energy, supporting lower utility costs, public safety and homeland security, advocating for first responders and ensuring community safety, transportation, pushing for investments in public transit and critical infrastructure like the Cape Bridges, and intergovernmental affairs, working to bridge relations with the federal government during this unprecedented time. Between all these assignments, it will be a busy session. Last week, we announced our office is leading a Cape Bridges Community Forum series. This initiative will feature the head of the Cape Bridges project for the state and provide local residents with a status update and a forum to ask questions directly to those in charge. Replacement of the Cape Bridges is the largest infrastructure project in our region in over 100 years, and it will determine our transportation for generations to come. I want to ensure that you and our community have a voice. Join us for our first meeting, Tuesday, April 15th, from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at Massachusetts Maritime Academy. Our office prides itself on being accessible and transparent. In our first 3 months, we hold a listening tour with public town halls in all 8 towns to hear directly from people about their cares and concerns. We also met with every municipality to learn how we can best advocate for our towns at the State House. As always, we want to help support you in any way we can. please reach out at any time to dylan.fernandes at masenate.gov or call 617-722-1330. Thank you to the people of the Plymouth and Barnstable District for putting your faith in me to represent you. It is the honor of a lifetime to serve the district where I grew up and which I love. Onward. Next article is Defunct Student Activity Funds to be Redistributed by Taylor Frizzetti. What happens to the leftover funds each class raises to help with the cost of student events such as prom or the senior cruise? Apparently, Sandwich Class of accounts dating back to 1998 has been inactive with a total of $31,087.05 waiting to be used. The school committee discussed how to distribute the funds to high school and middle school students during a meeting on Wednesday. Superintendent Joseph P. Murasak said that the town auditors would like to see the district close out all of the Class of student activity accounts. We thought an equitable way would be to take a look at the 6 classes at the middle high school and disperse it, 20% for each of the high school classes and 10% to the 2 middle school classes, he said. As a result, he said that each of the high school classes would receive $6,217 and the 2 middle school classes would receive $3,108 each. I like the model because it also allows the 7th and 8th graders. They may benefit from current 9th through 12th graders handing down additional money, said school committee member Christine Brown. School committee member Bert Fisher suggested splitting the total evenly between each of the classes. It could definitely be done that way. I think the mindset was just thinking about 7th and 8th graders will be there longer and they have more of an opportunity to fundraise, Dr. Mrusak said. Vice Chairman Kevin Serrault asked if any effort had been made to reach out to the classes that raised the money. That's a no-no, according to our policy, Dr. Mrusak said, adding that town auditors would likely frown on that practice. Mr. Fisher made a motion to distribute the funds equally between the 6 classes. Dr. Serrault did a quick calculation to determine that each class would receive $5,141. The motion passed, with Ms. Brown opposing. Our next article is Community Health Center names new director. Beth Rooney Sureth has been named to the Community Health Center's Board of Directors. Ms. Sureth earned her bachelor's degree from Boston University before beginning her career in healthcare marketing and communications. She later shifted her focus to family caregiving and served as a family caregiving consultant for the AARP Public Policy Institute in Washington, D.C. Now she works as a care manager for CareForth in Yarmouth, where she continues to support caregivers and families. In addition to her current role, Ms. Sureth is the founder and family caregiving partner of Caregiving Pathways, a consultancy dedicated to educating family caregivers on managing the caregiving journey and end-of-life planning. She has coached for certification programs, conducted peer reviews for the Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute, and developed educational content for multiple organizations. Ms. Sureth is also an advisor for the Women in Leadership program at the University of Vermont Grossman School of Business. For more information about services available at Community Health Center, visit chcofcapecod.org or call 508-477-7090. Our next article is Sandwich Cares to host Substance Use Mitigation Talk. Sandwich Cares is hosting a presentation from Sunny Fellman of We Can on Tuesday, April 15th from 6 to 7 p.m. at the Center for Active Living in Forestdale. A group of solution-focused community members will discuss efforts to address and prevent substance use and overdose deaths in the town of Sandwich. We Can is an organization that offers support and empowers women to build pathways to stability and self-sufficiency. They offer legal services, career and financial support, small business assistance, and workshops across the Cape. Their services help women from every background find and gain success. Obituaries. Bruce L. Buckley. Bruce Lionel Buckley of Sandwich died on April 4th at McCarthy Care Center in Sandwich. He was 82. Born in Quincy to Lionel and Marjorie Comus Buckley, he graduated from Quincy High School. He was known as Buck. Serving in the U.S. National Guard, he also worked as a Massachusetts State Police trooper. Over the course of his 43-year career, he was assigned to patrol and investigate bureaus across Massachusetts, including Topsfield, Framingham, Foxborough, Logan Airport, and the Attorney General's office in Boston, Norwell, Middleborough, Bourne, and South Yarmouth. His commitment to his work was recognized with the Medal of Valor and the Red Cross Good Samaritan Hero Award. He loved going on adventures with his family, including road trips to Florida, camping, summers at their Maine home, and boating on the mid-coast Maine waterways. He enjoyed fishing, wooden boat model building, racquetball, collecting matchbox cars, stamps, and coins. He was a lifetime member of the Quincy Brooms Golf League. A Boston sports fan, he loved the Celtics, Red Sox, Patriots, and Bruins. More recently, he enjoyed driving his 2 Ford Mustang race cars, chatting with friends at the Cape Cod Canal, and sharing stories over coffee and donuts. He leaves his daughter, Bridget Buckley, 2 granddaughters, his brothers, Brian, Bradford, and Brett Buckley, and many extended family members. He was predeceased by his wife, Nancy A. Hardy. Visiting hours will be held today from 10 a.m. to noon at Nickerson Bourne Funeral Home in Sandwich. A funeral service will follow at noon. Burial will take place at 12:45 p.m. at Sandwich Town Cemetery. James J. Connolly. James J. Connolly of East Sandwich died on April 1st. He was 89. Growing up in Jamaica Plain, he attended St. Thomas Aquinas School, serving as an altar boy, and then Boston Latin, where he excelled in sports and academics. He graduated from Boston College with a bachelor's degree in physics in 1957. His career began with NASA and continued through his retirement with the Department of Transportation in Kendall Square. After retiring to Sandwich, he enjoyed playing golf, reuniting at the Air Club pub in Dorchester, and celebrating, known for his dance moves and quick wit. He spent winters in Naples, Florida. He leaves his wife of 66 years, Elaine R. Logan, his children, Susan Collins, and her husband, Bart, of Sandwich, Jim Connolly and his wife, Elaine, of Chelmsford, Elaine Martin of Wareham, Peter Connolly and his wife, Diane, of Haverhill, Stephen Connolly and his wife, Carol, of Westlake, Ohio, Laura Powers and her husband, John, of Dedham, Leslie Coughlin and her husband, Jimmy, of Dedham, and Amy Colleran and her husband, Bill, of Walpole, his sister, Carol Gaffney, of Centerville, 20 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren, and many extended family members. Services were held on April 8th in Sandwich. Other obituaries. Brian C. Buckley, 57, of Mashpee, died on April 5th. Angela D. DeMichelle, 82, of Falmouth, died on March 19th. Eileen P. Flanagan, 95, of Pocasset, died on April 2nd. Janet L. Hill, 89, of Falmouth, died on April 1st. Raymond W. Howe, 89, of Falmouth, died on April 3rd. Alvin Arthur Huff, 83, of Pocasset, died on February 21st. Our next article is Land Trust to host Earth Week programs. While every day is Earth Day at Barnstable Land Trust, Earth Week, April 16th to 24th, shines a spotlight on how important natural resources are, especially on Cape Cod. Barnstable Land Trust invites people of all ages and interests to celebrate Earth Week at one of the programs below. Wednesday, April 16th, 10:30 a.m. at Sturgis Library, Earthy Storytime and Garden Party. Saturday, April 19th, 2 p.m. at Ropes Beach, Cotuit Beach Cleanup. Tuesday, April 22nd, 10 a.m. at Barnstable Land Trust headquarters. Poetry of Mary Oliver Walk. Wednesday, April 23rd, 2 p.m. at Cotuit Library, Cotuit Earth Extravaganza. Thursday, April 24th, 7:30 a.m. at Barnstable Land Trust headquarters, Birding with Barnstable Land Trust. Most events are free. Only the birding event has a small fee. For more information and event registration is available at bit.org/events. We now have some time for arts, culture, and living. Our first article is Documentary Profiles Artists Creating Art from Trash. The Sandwich Public Library is offering a film screening of the documentary Rescuing Our Oceans Through Recycled Art by filmmaker Johnny Begman on Earth Day, Tuesday, April 22nd at 6:30 p.m. The event is free and open to all, but registration is required through the library event calendar. Refreshments will be served courtesy of the Friends of the Sandwich Public Library. For more information and to register for this event, please visit the library's website or call the library at 508-888-0625. This documentary, a production of Lower Cape TV, explores how artists have come together to create art out of plastics and other man-made trash found in the ocean, in an effort to bring awareness to what individuals can do to help. Johnny Bergman, the documentary's director, will be available after the screening to answer audience questions. Mr. Bergman's films have been shown worldwide, and his television work has aired on NBC, BBC, and the Food Network. He has worked extensively in both narrative and documentary form. The next article is Comedian Jimmy Tingle will make Spire Center debut. Three-time Best of Boston award-winning comedian Jimmy Tingle will make his debut at the Spire Center for Performing Arts with a one-night-only engagement on Saturday, April 19th. In his show, Humor and Hope for Humanity, the comedian takes his audience on a hilarious and thought-provoking journey reflecting on his path from a Boston street performer and aspiring comic to appearances on network television, graduating from Harvard's Kennedy School of Government, a bid for political office, and his current adventures. In addition to his one-person show, Mr. Tingle recently released a new comedy documentary, Jimmy Tingle, The Radical Middle, Why Would a Comedian Run for Office? He is the founder of Humor for Humanity, a new social enterprise that raises spirits, funds, and awareness for nonprofit organizations. Feature film work by Mr. Tingle includes Next Stop Wonderland, Boondock Saints, Head of State, starring Chris Rock, and Clear History, starring Larry David. He has also appeared in several documentary films, including When Stand Up Stood Out, Call Me Lucky, Damned in the USA, and America with the Top Down. Doors open at 7 p.m. The show starts at 8 p.m. Tickets can be purchased online. The Sphere is at 25.5 Court Street in Plymouth. The venue is disabled accessible. Public parking is available street side and in public lots near the venue. The next article is Book Club is gearing up for a series of meetings. As spring arrives, the Wildflower Garden Book Club will be meeting one Wednesday afternoon a month at the Thornton W. Burgess Greenbrier Nature Center in East Sandwich. The public can join Janice Donovan in the garden to discuss works of literature that make use of the world of flowers. Each month's book is selected by Miss Donovan to stimulate a deeper appreciation for botanical themes in literature. The first meeting is scheduled for April 16th at 2:15 p.m., with meetings scheduled into October. Book titles will be made available each month. The fee per meeting is $7 for members, $10 for non-members. Registration is required. Email janice@thorntonburgess.org or call Greenbrier at 508-888-6860. The next article is Piano Students Gather for Recitals. Adult piano students of Melissa Harris recently gathered for their annual Duet Club social at the home of Catherine and Stuart Thomas of Sandwich. Students paired up to present four hands music at the piano. Selections included popular standards and traditional classical repertoire. A second recital took place on March 31st at the home of Faye Rogers of Mashpee. The brunch included piano accompaniment provided by students in Miss Harris's Decades-themed program. Music included standards from the 20th century as well as pieces from the classical repertoire. Participating musicians included Janet Charpentier of Osterville, Faye Rogers, Pat Hackett, Chris Cormier Hayes, Dr. Nizarin Ronan, and John Bridge of Mashpee, Kathy Vranos of Bourne, Sue Holloway, Kristen Libretto, Doug McLean, and Phil Rice of Plymouth, Ron Giovino of Brewster, Gretchen Hibben of Barnstable, Phyllis O'Neill, Catherine Morrison, Veronica Pierce, Catherine Thomas, and Judy Dwyer of Sandwich, Linda Heath of Cotuit, Lisa Kane, Dr. Nathaniel Clark, and Alan White of Falmouth, and Kim Roth of West Yarmouth. Miss Harris teaches piano from her studio in Sandwich. The next article is Cahoon Museum offers floral arranging workshop. The Cahoon Museum of American Art will present a Spring Blooms floral arranging workshop on Friday, April 18th from 2 to 4 p.m. The workshop, inspired by the florals featured in the exhibition Still Life Stories, Beauty, Bounty, and Reflections, will be presented by Diana Zuravolev, the founder of Floral Aesthetics, who has been creating floral designs with a focus on artistic expression since 2021. The cost of the workshop is $120 or $110 for members of the museum. Register online or call 508-428-7581. The Cahoon Museum of American Art is at 4676 Falmouth Road in Cotuit. And next article is Say No to Poison by Mary Richmond. Sadly, we have become a world that poisons things easily and without much thought of the wide-ranging, even catastrophic consequences of our decisions. We hate weeds, so we use herbicides that kill every living plant they touch. We hate bugs, so we apply pesticides. We hate mice and rats, so we put out rat poisons. We wake daily to a world where the populations of insects, plants, and birds are crashing at alarming rates and wring our hands. What is happening? Why are they dying? It's a complicated issue, but our overuse of poisons is a pretty good bet for a lot of it, especially locally. Many pest control companies say their poisons only affect ticks. People hate ticks. Ticks can make us sick. They spray their yards to get rid of the ticks. Here's the thing. Not just ticks die. All the spiders, insects, worms, and other tiny creatures die as well. This may not matter to you, but it should. Spraying for caterpillars is another thing many homeowners do. Well, if you have nesting birds, they will be feeding poisoned caterpillars to their babies and themselves, killing many. Caterpillars, though annoying to many homeowners, are the mainstay of many bird diets in spring and summer. Maybe encourage more birds instead of killing them. They eat thousands of caterpillars every week. They could do the work of protecting your landscape for free and without toxins. Rats and mice are problems for many people. Alternatives to poisons are many and varied. We had to stop feeding the birds, and we haven't seen either rodent in months. The problem with rodent poisons is that the sick and dying rodents get eaten by foxes, coyotes, hawks, owls, and eagles. The poisons accumulate in their systems, eventually killing them. There are several baby owls in wildlife rehab and care, as I write, that are struggling to survive these poisons here on the Cape. In at least one case, the parent was found dead and tested positive for rat poison. The babies tested positive as well. Garden pests are an ongoing topic of conversation among gardeners. As a lifelong organic gardener, I've never used a pesticide or herbicide. I'm not going to say I have perfect gardens because I don't. I do have lots of birds that work in my gardens every day picking off bugs, and I've learned that growing some things are not worth my effort. I had a very alarming experience growing and picking what I thought was a green head of broccoli once, and now I let these lovely little white cabbage butterflies fly about looking for brassicas to lay eggs on. But not in my yard. I grow other things instead. It's true that growing things without poisons may mean that you will have some holes in leaves, some discoloration here and there, and other signs that insects are enjoying feasts at your expense. You will also find that many other creatures will soon converge on your space and keep a lot of that in check. We have a tiny lot, less than a fifth of an acre, in a fairly urban environment, and last summer we had 15 nests of various birds in our yard, all helping control the insect population. Have you got rabbits and deer? They can be problematic, but maybe we need to reconsider what we plant. If the deer are eating all your shrubs and flowers, maybe find native ones that deer aren't so crazy about. Plant clover to distract the rabbits from your flowers, and surround your vegetable garden with a fence. We have a lot of rabbits in our yard, but they are busy eating clover, dandelions, and other little plants that spring up in the yard, leaving our gardens alone. I'm sure that a nibble is taken here and there, but there are plenty of plants close together, and they generally leave them alone. Don't isolate your plants and surround them with mulch if you don't want to share them. That's an open invitation to creatures of all sizes. We seem to be a culture in love with poisons. We eat food grown on huge corporate farms where pesticides and herbicides are used in abundance. Many of us will test positive for many of the elements of these, if tested, but there are no routine blood tests for this. So many are totally unaware of toxins in their bloodstream. This spring, say no to poisons. Learn to live with an imperfect yard and garden. I'm not saying there is never a reason to revert to poisons, but there's so much overuse right now. I think we need to stop, reevaluate, and rethink our strategies. If you have a plant that is constantly being attacked, perhaps that plant is never going to do well without poison. Maybe it's time to let it go. It's an imperfect world out there, one full of challenges, both real and imagined. We can help make it a gentler, more peaceful place by saying no to the small things that add up to the big things. For now, let's say no to the poisons every landscaper and lawn care supply manufacturer insists we need. There are other, better ways. Also, remember that the poisons we use in our yards sink down into our water supply. Think about that for a minute. Would you like a cup of pesticide with your breakfast? If not, please consider the rest of us. We don't want to drink it either. Our next article is Falmouth Author Releases The Journey of the Snake by Joanne Brianna Gartner. Falmouth resident Adam Smith has released a new book, a historical mystery titled The Journey of the Snake, published in January by Milford House Press, an imprint of Sunbury Press in Pennsylvania. Set during the American Revolution, the novel blends vengeance, betrayal, and suspense, along with assigning the backstory to Heathcliff, the troubled protagonist of Emily Brandt's Wuthering Heights. In The Journey of the Snake, Charlotte Savatier is haunted by her childhood in Charleston, South Carolina, where, at 10, she saw her Wakata Indian mother and French father unjustly executed. That day, her Wakata uncle whisked her away to Quebec City. A decade later, her husband, a British Army attorney, is sent to Charleston to investigate a French prisoner's murder. Charlotte seizes the chance for revenge. She's known all along who framed and murdered her parents. When her husband dies suddenly, the Charleston Board of Police appoints her to his role. She's reluctant to accept the position until she learns the royalist officer she must report to is her parents' murderer. Dedicated to her dual mission to solve the case and exact revenge, Charlotte seeks an ally in a ruthless young Brit named Heathcliff. But Heathcliff's greed endangers her plans and her life. Mr. Smith grew up in Vermont and moved to Falmouth in junior high school. He said he got his start in writing all the way back in second grade after his father gave him a copy of Dracula. A 1980 graduate of Falmouth High School, he credits reading specialist Robert Pickle and administrator Donald Burnett with providing him with inspiration as a student. An avid reader, Mr. Smith recalled being awarded a certificate of achievement from Mr. Pickle for reading more than 200 books in his junior year. I read Robert A. Heinlein, Arthur C. Clarke, Franz Kafka, Hermann Hesse, Thomas Mann, Mary Shelley, J.R.R. Tolkien, Emily Bront, T.S. Eliot, Carl Jung, Schopenhauer, and Nietzsche, Mr. Smith remembered. After graduating, Mr. Smith attended the University of Arizona, where he studied journalism. Mr. Smith also studied German, hoping the knowledge would enable him to read Hesse, Mann, Nietzsche, Schopenhauer, and Jung in their original language. It didn't make understanding those complex writers any easier, he said. Authors he enjoys today include Joseph Cannon, William Dietz, Neil Asher, Tess Gerritsen, J.M. Coetzee, and Richard Wilbur. Mr. Smith, who is a chef by trade, also enjoys food essays by M.F.K. Fisher and counts the Bible among his regular reads. Journey of the Snake is Mr. Smith's third book. He is also the author of the thriller Scabland and the dark satire Falling from the Light. Primarily, I wrote The Journey of the Snake because I wanted to explore how someone in the 18th century would handle a psychosomatic illness without the aid of modern clinical psychiatry. The main character in the book is 20-year-old Charlotte Savetier, who watched her parents hang when she was a little girl. Since then, she has suffered bouts of blindness, and a subplot is her struggle to figure out why, he said. Regarding the book's connection to Wuthering Heights, Mr. Smith explained, in Wuthering Heights, Catherine chooses to marry Edgar Linton over Heathcliff, and Heathcliff runs away for 3 years, plotting revenge. He returns filthy rich, but Emily Bronte never says how Heathcliff amassed his wealth. The Journey of the Snake reveals that secret. In terms of accuracy, Mr. Smith said, he spent more time researching than writing the book. I spent hours and even days researching specific facts, like when the streets in Charleston were made of, what the streets in Charleston were made of in the 1780s, in what building the Charleston Board of Police held meetings, or what ship Benedict Arnold was on when his armada invaded Virginia, a fact that took days to discover, only to be deleted in the final edit. Some prominent historical figures or events in the novel include Colonel Nesbitt Balfour, British Commandant of Charleston, the Charleston Board of Police, smallpox and smallpox inoculation, and how dining rooms were on the second floor to catch breezes that ventilated the humid subtropic climate, reduced mosquitoes, and diminished the stench of horses and cattle in the streets below, he said. Mr. Smith writes every day, working straight through the first draft of a novel or story. He was one of 10 writers chosen by best-selling author Dennis Lehane for his novel writing workshop in Writers in Paradise, a writers' conference at Eckerd College. After that workshop, Mr. Smith and some of the other participants started their own writing group. Mr. Smith said that he appreciated the attention to detail provided by his publisher. The publisher, Lawrence Knorr, involves himself with each book. He designed my cover, for example, which many readers have praised, he said. The Journey of the Snake is available at 8 Cousins Books in Falmouth and Titcomb's Bookshop in Sandwich, as well as larger shops and online. Mr. Smith's employer, Dillingham Place in Falmouth, will host a book signing event for Mr. Smith on Sunday, April 27th at 1 p.m. and also dedicate his 3 books to his library. The signing is open to residents of Dillingham Place and friends and family. With the publication of The Journey of the Snake, Mr. Smith is at work on several new projects, including the final draft of a new science fiction novel and a sequel to Scrabland. Mr. Smith said that he hopes people who read and enjoy The Journey of the Snake will relate to the underlying theme that making mistakes is how one develops as a person, and that they will post a review on Amazon or Goodreads. That's all that I have time for. I'm hoping that you enjoyed this week's reading of Sandwich Enterprise. Thank you.